Welcome back mga kabarangay dito po sa ating programang Barangay New Zealand sa PSTV5 Plus. Ako inyong Direk Rene. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Tonight, we have a special guest. Well, every night we have a special guest. And our special guest tonight is no other than the reigning Miss Canora New Zealand Queen, Rovelyn Milford. Yay!
Yeah.
Rovelyn!
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here, Paul. It's such an honor to be here.
This is the second time that I interview, oh, second or third, I think, but first time that I will interview Rovelyn on her own and as beauty title as a beauty titleist, Miss Canora New Zealand. How was your journey with Miss Canora New Zealand, Rovelyn?
My journey at Miss Canada was such a life-changing experience because within the past 6 months of my time at Miss Canada
Mm-hmm.
as a finalist, it really changed my perspective in life because, of course, from last year, in the middle of last year, we had a lockdown in New Zealand.
Oh
So
yes.
we had so much time to really reflect on ourselves and what we want in life and what we want to do with this title if one of us gets crowned. And so for me, Miss Canada enabled me to really showcase my true authentic self as
Mm-hmm.
well as create this platform that I had called Be Uniquely You. And it's all about self-acceptance and empowerment.
For the benefit of our viewers and listeners, what does Miss Kanurao? Because it used to be another name, right? And now it is evolved. You're the first Miss Kanurao, actually, Rovelyn.
Offer. So it is under the same, I guess, franchise as Miss Asia Pacific New Zealand, which is
Mm-hmm.
its previous name. But under this franchise, it's now called Miss Canada New Zealand. And Miss Canada really represents diversity as well as authenticity as well. So for a fun fact, Canada means be diverse in Te Reo Māori. So that's what Miss Canada New Zealand is and represents.
Wow. And you are the first Miss Kanurao New Zealand. And
Offer.
congratulations.
Thank
Mga
you.
kaibigan, if you notice, Rovelyn is answering Opo. Because she is half Filipino, right? Rovelyn, your mom is from the Philippines.
Yes, my mom is half Filipino. She is from Cebu, a small village called San Fernando, Cebu, which is
Mhm,
squeezed in between Kakar and Naga City. And
mhm,
I have been to the Philippines 3 times,
mhm.
luckily once before the pandemic, but my family are in talks to go back to the Philippines sometime next year.
What's your most memorable, moment in that last visit when you went to Cebu?
For my last time visit, staying with Cebu, it was such a wonderful opportunity to actually explore Cebu City because
Mhm,
I always stay with my family all the time in San Fernando, and it takes around
mhm,
a 2 hour drive to get to Cebu City. So actually staying in Cebu City and explore firsthand the beauty it has and the diversity it has with
mhm.
the integration of Americanization as well as its Spanish culture as well. It was such an amazing experience to have and to see, and I hope to explore more of that once I get back to Cebu.
What's your favorite Filipino food, Roblin?
I am very simple when it comes to Filipino foods, and
Mhm.
my go-to Filipino food is dried fish and rice.
Dried
I
fish.
love, yes, I love dried fish and rice. It's one of those meals that I could live
Mhm.
eating it for the rest of my life, three
Really?
times a day, and I would not be sick of it. I love it so much.
Do you eat with your hands? Have you tried eating with your hands also?
I tried eating it with my hands, but somehow I always fail because
Okay.
every time I push it, it
Mhm.
never goes to my mouth. It just goes everywhere else and on the floor. So I need to know the
The
little tips and
technique.
secrets of
Mm.
the technique. Yeah.
So when you have your dried fish, does it go with something else like a side dish? What do you have for as a side dish for that, or just dried fish and rice, or is there like a veggie, tomato, vinegar? What do you have as a side dish?
Nothing. Just dried fish and rice. Yeah.
Now in Cebu, they have this famous danggit, right? In Cebu,
Yes.
it's so tasty, it's so yummy. Now you grew up in Palmerston North. Am I correct,
Papa.
Rovelyn? Mm.
Proudly
And
born and raised.
born and raised in Palmy, and you finished also your university degree at Massey University in Palmy with a
Yes.
very interesting degree on defense studies. Hmm?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yes.
so can you tell us a little bit about the journey having this? Why did you choose defense? What's that? A bachelor in defense and strategic studies or something like that?
So, my degree is the Bachelor of Arts of
Mm-hmm.
Security Studies and Defense.
Mm,
And it is very new and very particular in Massey University. When I joined in 2016, we were the first group to be enrolled in the subject. So,
mm-hmm.
we were very much what I would say the guinea pigs class, trying to figure out what interests students and what
Mm-hmm.
is relevant in this day and age. And what got me into my degree
Mm-hmm.
is when I was a kid, I was so fascinated with what is happening around the world. I always watched the news. I was
Mm,
that very odd kid that never watches cartoon series or just any type of TV series. I would
mm-hmm.
always constantly watch the news and be so
Wow.
fascinated about international relations and how diplomacy works.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was one TV show that kind of got me interested called Border Patrol or Border Security.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an Australian TV series that goes with customs officers and see the day in the life of a customs officer and see
Mm-hmm.
what they do. Like check people's bags, how they smuggle drugs or illicit goods into the country.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me into where I am today, which is into security studies.
Mm. Well, the dried fish, you cannot sneak it in, right?
I mean, fascinating enough, I believe it was 2017.
Mm,
My mom had
mm,
a whole bag full of dried fish because she knew that I need to have dried fish at home because I
mm-hmm,
love it so much.
mm,
So in New Zealand customs, you are allowed dried fish, but it
mm-hmm.
has to be vacuum sealed and
Yes,
it has
yes.
to be declared. You can't
Mm-hmm.
have it out of a shop and just wrap it up in newspaper.
Yeah.
You have to declare it and vacuum seal it.
So it went through customs, and you had a very nice meal.
Oh yeah, I, I all that dried fish that my mum brought from the Philippines went gone within a week. Like a week. I
Early,
was yeah,
early
I was
morning.
constantly bugging my mum's like, Ma, can we have dried fish? And she will always look at me and be like, it's gonna stink the house. And I'm just like, please, just for me.
What about your dad? You have other siblings, right?
No, but it's just
Ah,
me.
just
I'm
you.
an only child, yes.
Okay, so dad likes the dried fish also. Your Kiwi dad, or no?
No, he doesn't eat dried fish. He kind of complains about the smell, which I know it kind of leaves a bit of an interesting smell for quite a long
Mm,
time.
mhm.
And unfortunately, my dad can't eat rice because of his
Oh,
hernia.
mm, mhm.
So we have to. My mum and I have kind of have to work around with what he eats because he's not allowed to eat rice.
Oh, okay. When I cook dried fish also, what I do is like scented candles around the kitchen, in the dining, so that it will just help
Mm.
in, you know. But yeah, just like you, I love dried fish, and I can have it also like a weekend.
Oh, see, at least I'm not the only one, so that's a good thing.
But going back to your study, so you did some papers on security. It seems that you're interested with the political situation around the world. Are you looking at a career in the foreign service or in the defense force, Roblin?
Well, when I first got into security studies, my mind was very much straight narrowed into New Zealand customs.
Mm,
But the more I studied and the more I explored security studies, I
mm-hmm,
realized how much of a big field of job opportunities are there in the subject and also in this field. And you
mm-hmm,
can, like you said, be in the defense forces, you can be a police officer, you can be a diplomacy person. But for myself, I kind of, it changes from time to time.
mm-hmm,
Sometimes I want to work as a security officer in the New Zealand Air Force,
mm-hmm.
and other times I go back to my childhood dream to be a New Zealand Customs officer. But for me, my head's at this moment, my head and my heart goes into foreign affairs.
Oh
So
yes.
working as a diplomacy as well as working in embassies. And
Mm-hmm.
luckily through pageantry, it has gave me this experience, skills
Mm,
and knowledge to not only to strive but also thrive in
yes.
diplomacy.
And especially when you went overseas for the Miss Intercontinental was it in El Sharam in Egypt? Where was that, Rovelyn? Was it in Egypt?
Yes, but it is a place called Sharm el Sheikh. It is located in the South Sinai near the Red Sea, and it's
Mm.
currently the place for the United Nations Climate Change Summit. So if you hear it on the news and you
Ah,
hear Sharm el Sheikh, that's the place that I
oh,
went.
so the COP 27 is in Sharm el Sheikh. Mm,
Yes,
mhm,
but
mhm,
and surprisingly enough, when I was in Sharm el Sheikh,
mhm,
there was a lot of talk about this climate change summit. And
mhm.
when we explored throughout the towns, there was a lot of construction sites, mainly because
Oh,
they were preparing for it. And they
mhm,
had 3 months to construct the roads, to
mhm,
construct the buildings and facilities for it,
mhm.
because they, of course, it is you're going to have 80 to 100
Yes. Mhm,
diplomats from all over the world. So
mhm.
you got to make your city look beautiful for them.
Yes, yes. And flying to Sharm el Sheikh it took you, how was your journey? So from Auckland you flew to Dubai, or how was it, Roblin?
So it took me from Auckland to Sharm el Sheikh
Mm-hmm.
36 hours.
36
30,
hours. Oh,
yes,
what?
but 36 hours. So I left Auckland on my birthday, which is the 25th of September. Then I went to Melbourne, stayed
Mm-hmm.
there for a little while, then had a 14-hour overnight flight to Abu Dhabi.
Mm-hmm.
From Abu Dhabi, I went to
Mm-hmm.
Cairo, to Sharm el Sheikh.
Ah, okay. So
Mm.
you have to pass through Cairo. There's no like straight international flight to Sharm el Sheikh, right? Okay. Mm-hmm.
No, not really. There is also a way that the pageant Miss Intercontinental also recommended, which is through Istanbul, Turkey.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we choose, myself and my organizers chose the cheaper option, which
Mm.
is through Cairo, because the flight to Sharm el Sheikh costs around about 4,500. So it is quite hefty and it's very much
Mm.
a long flight. So of
Mm.
course, it's better to take somewhere that is a bit more
Yeah.
cheaper.
And you traveled on your own, or did you have a chaperone, or you went on your own?
I went on my own boat. It's
Wow.
the furthest I've been by myself.
And you put into practice your what's this, security and defense studies, like, how
Of
to.
course.
So you arrived at Sharm el Sheikh, and how many, what's this, candidates were there at the for the Miss Intercontinental? How many candidates?
There were 72 of us. So
Wow.
it was quite a lot of girls. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe 3 to 4 weeks was long enough to get to know every single girl, because there were
Mm-hmm.
so many of us, and
Mm-hmm.
we had a full on schedule as well, with all the photo shoots as well as doing interviews and meet up
Mm-hmm.
the schedules and requirements of the organization. So I feel like we should have had an extra couple of weeks to
Mm.
actually get to know one another.
So for 4 weeks you stayed there, building up to the, what is the pageant night itself. So you must have had, like, made close friends with which country became your, like, close friends?
Uh,
Candidates from
it's
which country?
It was so hard because I interacted with all of the girls, and all of
Mm-hmm.
the girls are amazing. They are so genuine, so lovely, and they always want to interact with you. So it's really difficult to pinpoint a few. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, I had my roommate, Miss Canada, who I was close to, and we basically stayed side by side, attached to the hip for those 4 weeks. So definitely Rachel, Miss Canada, is someone I definitely got close to the most.
Was there a candidate from the Philippines, Rovelyn?
But Gabrielle Bashano, she is Miss Intercontinental Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and she is absolutely lovely, very welcoming and very kind and very thoughtful in what she thinks and also what she says as well.
Were there any other candidates who were, like, of Filipino ancestry aside from you and Miss Philippines? Were there any
Yes,
other?
yes, there was also Miss USA, Michelle, and she is such a Barbie doll. She just radiates this
Hmm.
bubbly personality, and she's also very sweet and has a very bright personality that kind of lights up the room.
And so you were saying, like, now you are veering towards foreign affairs, foreign service, the diplomatic life, because
Mm.
this was like 70 plus countries, and so different languages,
Yes.
different cultures. So in 4 weeks you got a glimpse of, wow, this is something that, not the glamour life, but I guess the
Mm.
more the diplomatic life, and so that's something that you would like to pursue, Rovelyn.
Yeah, it is definitely, and it's definitely a good way to open that door for me and learn how to interact with people from different
Hmm.
cultures,
Hmm.
and learning how to interact with them, because language barriers and also body language barriers is such a huge challenge for those working in diplomacy, because you
Hmm.
don't know how to interact with people. So being in a resort, Maraki resort, for 4 weeks with these girls have definitely opened my mind and also educated me on how to interact with people from all walks of life.
Hmm. And so, was there like a segment or a time when you had to present in the national costume, or how do you call it? Is it the national attire, or was there something like that?
Yes, we did have a national costume. It was I think it was the second preliminary round that we had
Hmm.
after the swimsuit competition, and we had it on stage, and that was very much the first time we actually presented ourselves at the
Hmm.
Miss Intercontinental stage. And you can also find the national costume online on YouTube as well if you want to watch it, because all the girls' national costumes are fabulous. For myself, for New Zealand, I
Hmm.
had a national costume called Aotearoa. It is by Renal Espaladon. who is a Filipino designer who
Mm.
was gracious enough to design this wonderful Aotearoa national
Oh.
costume.
Mhm.
And it has two meanings.
Mm.
So the top half, it represents our love for rugby. And as you know, New Zealand loves their rugby and also loves the All Blacks.
Mhm.
So, and also on this bottom half is a skirt. And it represents New Zealand's love for the environment and for the ocean. So it
Oh.
comes in two parts. But
Oh.
also, I had a rugby ball. And it was a rugby ball that I kept for such a long time in my cupboard. And I actually remembered about it and pulled it out. And it is the 2011 Rugby World Cup
Ah.
official ball. And
Yes.
for those who don't know, in 2011, New Zealand
Mm.
hosted the Rugby World Cup.
Mhm.
And we won it that year.
We won it against France, I think. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, 8-7.
And so you also had like a talent portion. What did you do for talent?
Luckily enough, we didn't have a talent portion.
Ah, there was none. Okay.
But if I did have a talent, it would
Mhm.
definitely be dancing because I cannot sing. I cannot sing. Those close to me have heard me on a karaoke machine and they
Okay.
said, I never want to hear you sing ever again.
Have you heard that if you have some Filipino friends, they say if you have a horrible voice, they say, "Oh, are you trying to make it rain or something like that?"
Maybe I should go to the Philippines and make it rain because I can make it pour it down.
Hey, Roblin, so you traveled 36 hours across the world. How much luggage did you bring?
Well, a lot of girls brought a lot of luggage and had to
Uh-huh.
pay a lot of money to get
Oh,
it
yeah.
to Sharm el Sheikh.
Hmm.
I believe the most was Miss Vietnam, who is our current Miss Intercontinental, who had
Oh,
5 luggages. 5
five.
huge
Mm.
luggages, by the way. And for myself, I only brought 36 kgs. So 1 carry-on and 1 check-in luggage.
Oh.
So very small and convenient, but I had to be very strategic on what I need to bring and how I
Hmm.
use those clothes
Hmm.
to kind of fulfill that 4-week period because
Hmm.
you kind of use that up quite quickly in a short
Yeah.
amount of time.
Yeah, and I guess the schedule must have been very hectic, as you were saying. Every day you have something to do and all of that. That Miss Intercontinental, is that the same that Zell Garcia went in Albania? Was it in Albania?
No
Uh,
po.
Kaiba yun, kaiba. Mhm.
Uh-oh. So it went, so Apizal, she went to Miss Globe,
Ah,
which
Globe. Okay.
is
Mhm.
in Albania, and Evelyn was our representative that this year as well. So
Oh.
Miss Intercontinental is under a different organization,
Mhm.
and it was held in Egypt.
And the experience there, Roblin, of course, it was something new, but it was also
Mm.
something that you were prepared and you're looking forward to, learning all the experiences that
Mm.
you have had there would help you in your future,
Mm.
and in also in your outlook. I guess
Mm.
when you travel, you learn new things, you meet new
Yeah.
people, new experiences, which enriches your life. So right now, Romlin, are you are working in a defense security what's this industry or not yet? Because you just finished, you just graduated. When was that? Early this year, I think.
I graduated sometime last year. So I am currently a security officer at this moment. So currently I am very much overlooking all of the council buildings in New Zealand and also in the
Mm,
Manawatu region. It is
okay.
such a huge responsibility
Mhm.
because, of course, council buildings have a lot of risk and
Yes.
they expect high expectations from you,
Mhm.
but it's definitely such a worthy job, and
Mhm.
definitely in the right directions that I need to be for my future.
Are there like, so if you go on trips to inspect the council buildings or something like that, is that what you're doing or not really? You're more in the office.
I no, not in the office. I'm very much hands on. So I
Mhm.
do look around, I patrol quite a lot, observe, customer service to see that
Mhm.
people are, not causing any threats to any staff members, as
Mhm.
well as looking over property to make sure nothing has been stolen or been vandalized to.
Mhm.
So it is quite a huge responsibility for one person, but it's a
Mhm.
challenge that I'm willing to take.
Roblyn, what are you're very young,
Mm,
Miss Canberra Intercontinental,
mm,
beautiful lady. Is there what's this? An advantage in your job? So let's look at advantage first.
mm.
So when they meet you and then you are the security officer, is there an
Mm.
advantage that you charm them or?
It's definitely how unique my job is, because
Mhm.
you don't expect a young person,
Mhm.
especially at my age, in going pursuit in pageantry as a security officer.
Mhm.
Because most girls want to pursue as a lawyer or a banker or
Mhm.
a nurse.
Mhm.
And so being a security officer really stands out
Mhm.
and makes me different in who I am. But also, as a security officer, it makes me unique because I know how to interact with people from all walks of life and
Mhm.
know how to handle difficult situations. Because in my job, I do have to interact with people that are quite aggressive. And so
Oh.
I know
Mhm.
how to handle myself in very
Mhm.
difficult situations.
Mhm.
And pageantry isn't all about glitz and glam. There's a lot of challenges, and there's going to be a lot of comments, especially online, that's going to be negative towards you. So you need to
Mhm.
know how to handle yourself. So for
And yeah.
me as a security officer, I feel that my job, as well as how to handle myself, is
Mhm.
very much a unique way for me as Miss Canada, New Zealand.
Do you like? Are you into martial arts or karate or self-defense? Are you into those kinds of activities, Roblin?
In our training as towards becoming a security officer, we
Hmm.
do train as self-defense.
Hmm.
Nothing in particular, like any particular martial arts,
Hmm.
as you said with karate or judo,
Yeah. Hmm.
but it's knowing how to physically defend yourself in any situations. So know how
Mm.
to do an arm lock, how to make sure that the patron's on the floor if they become more aggressive, how to communicate with fellow team members when you need help, or when you need police as well. So they definitely
Mm.
give you the right tools for appropriate situations.
I've heard a term they call it non-violent crisis intervention or something like that.
Yes,
You
that's
have
the right word.
to protect yourself and to protect the client. I don't know, Roblin, if you're aware, in 2008, there was you're aware of the Miss Philippines New Zealand, right?
Yes.
You're aware of the pageant. Oh, it was held in Palmerston North last Labor weekend.
Oh, but
Did,
it
did,
did.
did, did you attend? Did you attend the events? Were you there?
Yes, but I did attend since it was held in my hometown. And I was also the co host for Miss Philippines New Zealand this year, which was
Oh,
such a huge honor.
oh. So in 2008 in Hamilton, the one who won Miss Philippines New Zealand 2008 came from Hamilton. Her name was Danica. I don't know if you know her. So Danica
No.
is also half Filipino, half Kiwi. So she became Miss Philippines New Zealand, and then she went to university to study, I think, fashion design or
Mhm.
something to that effect. But a couple of years ago, she decided to refocus her career. And you know what she focused on, and she is doing right now. She is now a New Zealand police officer,
Ah,
Danica.
wow.
So I'm looking at, from defense and a beauty pageant titleist. It would, and also I'm looking at your charm could disarm the situation. You know that could be a
Yes.
strength.
Yeah,
Or
it
you,
is.
has it happened already or not yet? Not really.
It has quite a lot. Because
Without going into specifications because of
no,
privacy. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, because people look at me when you think of, well, actually, the correct way of saying this is that when you think of a security officer, what do you think? You think of someone who is very well built, who is
Hmm.
very tall and male. And
Hmm.
sometimes the client or the patron would automatically think either to be intimidated or to be aggressive. But when they look at a security officer like myself, who is
Hmm.
quite slim figure and a female and quite short, they'll try to, tame their aggression as well
Hmm.
as try to use their, I guess, frustration on verbal communication rather than physical communication.
Hmm.
And how
Hmm.
I do things is listen to them because
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, people just want to be heard. And so I
Hmm.
let them rant.
Hmm.
But if anything gets too far, then I
Hmm.
will step in and say, this is not appropriate. Maybe you need to calm down, or this is a solution that you may need to take.
Hmm.
So that's how I deal things because you don't need to go physical force straight away because that's going
Hmm.
to escalate more harm than good.
You have the markings, the beginnings of a diplomat now,
Yeah.
diplomatically diffusing the situation. That's
Yes.
very good, Roblin. Now, you're saying in May you're reigning as Miss Canarao, New Zealand until May
Yes.
this 2023.
Yes, but so I was crowned Miss Canada New Zealand earlier this year in January,
Mm-hmm.
and the next Miss Canada New Zealand coronation night will be held sometime in May next year.
Mm-hmm.
So applications for Miss Canada New Zealand 2023 are now open. So feel
Mm-hmm.
free to join. So yes, throughout this 6 month period, I am
Mm-hmm.
continuing with my reign, going up to Auckland for events as well as promoting Miss Canada New Zealand and
Mm-hmm.
show the beauty that we have in Aotearoa.
And your advocacy. What is your advocacy, Roblin?
So my advocacy is called Be Uniquely You. And as
Mm-hmm.
I said, it's all about self-acceptance and empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about accepting the experiences that you had in the past and also in the present in order to empower yourself today and tomorrow. So for me, growing up with body image issues, I was always ashamed of my experiences and who I
Mm-hmm.
am. And luckily, through Miss Karurao and through the pandemic, it has made me realize that I should not be ashamed in who I am as an individual, as well as how I felt at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, as Miss Canada New Zealand has given me this platform to share my experiences at events and to educate the young people that whatever you're going through is okay
Mm-hmm.
and you should accept yourself and embrace in who you are because you are unique in your own little way and you need to embrace that and use it to your full potential.
I'd like to thank you, Roblin, for sharing your journey as Miss Canarao New Zealand, as well as your love for danggit, for dried fish. Now I know that when I'll go to Palmy, I'll bring something that's to your to your delight.
Yes, bring all of it.
All the best in your endeavors, and I
Yes.
look forward to listen, to see, and know about your wonderful advocacy and the things that you're doing for the youth, especially, and
Yeah.
also for yourself, inspiring others to become independent, to become to become forward looking. What would be your final message to our listeners and our viewers in our podcast, Rovelyn?
Is to always follow your heart, because my parents always taught me to live a life through passion. And if you live a life through passion, you'll live a full life with no regrets. And luckily, I live a life that I'm very passionate about, with my security studies as well as in pageantry, and now being a mentor for the next generation of women who want to become the leaders of this country through pageantry. And so I am so grateful to live a life through passion and to follow my hearts and my dreams. And so you should too.
Thank you very much for spending your time with me, and I wish you all the best. And looking forward to have a selfie with you when I hand in hand over my dried fish to you.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh. I need to give you something in return if you're going to give me dried fish. I need to think about it.
And flick me an email or a message when you're up here in Auckland so that we can have a coffee, catch
Yes.
up. And so thank you very much, Roblin. It's been a pleasure, and
Thank
I look
you.
forward to see you in all your wonderful activities, and I wish you all the best. Thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you
much.
for.
And I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to us, to our conversation, our life and culture podcast with Rovelyn Milford, the reigning Miss Canurao New Zealand Intercontinental 2022. Thank you very much. Good evening and God bless.